Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off with a pretty quick one here. We're talking about Atari 2600 VCS emulation on the Nintendo DS and DSi with StellaDS. And StellaDS just got a brand new update. Now, last week version 6.9 was released, which improved some drivers to squeeze out a few more frames of performance. And they fixed the pan up, pan down handling on the A button, and you can now pan even if another button is pressed. And now they've just released version 7.0, which has a major driver overhaul to, quote, squeeze out every bit of performance. And there's also a fix here for Genesis gamepad emulation. Detection now works. Moving on, and we're talking about PyBoy, a Game Boy emulator written in Python, and PyBoy just got a brand new update as well. So at the time of filming, version 1.6.10 is the latest update. You're probably not going to see a whole lot on the surface, but internally here, there were some large improvements. Now again, these changes probably won't mean a whole lot to the average user, but if you're into scripts, AI, and bots, you may want to check out the latest version. PyBoy is 100% free, it's open source, and it's loadable as an object in Python. Next up, we're talking about Retroid, and Retroid just unveiled two brand new Retroid Pockets, the Retroid Pocket 4, which features a Dimensity 900, and the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, which features a MediaTek Dimensity 1100, and they're priced at $199 for the 4 Pro and $149 for the 4. Now on paper, both devices are pretty similar. They both have 5000 mAh batteries. They both have Bluetooth 5.2, Wi-Fi 6, 4.7-inch touchscreens. They're both running Android. They both have active cooling and fast charging, and apparently they weigh the same. And they both have 128 gigs of storage. Where they differ though is where it kind of matters most for gaming. The Retroid Pocket 4 has a MediaTek Dimensity 900 versus the 1100 on the 4 Pro. The 4 has 4 gigs of RAM, the 4 Pro has 8 gigs of RAM. The 4 Pro also has 1080p output over Type-C. And the 4 Pro obviously has that better GPU. Now, when looking at the specs on paper, the 4 Pro blows the 4 out of the water. The Dimensity 1100 here is 48% better in Antutu testing. It's 24% better in Geekbench 6 with single core, and 49% better in multi-core score. And under 3D Mark here, the Dimensity 1100 is 83% better than the 900. If you're wondering how the Retroid Pocket 4 is going to perform in terms of emulation, I'd compare it with the AYN Odin Lite. They both have the exact same chipset, that MediaTek Dimensity 900, and both are available in 4 gigs of RAM. The Odin Lite is a little bit more expensive though, $50. For further information, I'll drop a link to Russ's YouTube video in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. At a high level here, Switch and PS2 emulation are going to be a little bit dicey. Now, without testing out either of these devices and basing my analysis on specs alone, if you're looking for better emulation on PS2 and Nintendo Switch, it's probably worth shelling out the extra $50 for the 4 Pro. The extra RAM will help you with Switch emulation, and the extra CPU and GPU power will help you with PS2 and also Switch emulation. The MediaTek chip with the Mali GPU is going to hold you back a little bit for Switch. Unfortunately, I've got no information on a release date just yet, but I'm assuming that these are going to be hot ticket items. I'm also assuming that there's going to be a 4 Pro Plus in the near future soon afterwards. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about all of these in the comments below. And speaking about gaming handhelds, next up we're talking about another gaming handheld, or at least a possible concept for one. This is from Anbernic, and the overall device is pretty interesting. Personally here, I am not a fan of this concept, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, it's portable, but at the same time here, it's going to be awkward to hold and awkward to use. The controls are in a very weird position, and you'll have to game in portrait mode. And on the black device here, I see a 4G indicator, so I'm wondering if this is meant to be a smartphone. And speaking about stuff that hasn't released yet, next up here we're talking about a brand new indie game. It's inspired by Zelda and also the Game Boy. It's called Draco and the 7 Scales, and it's up on Steam. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to the Steam page in the description below. The planned release date is 2024, and you can add it to your wish list. Alternatively here, if you wanted to check out a demo, you absolutely can. It's available on itch.io, and again, I'll drop a link to this in the description below. And speaking about Steam, next up we're talking about The Day Before and Fantastic. and Fantastic has just announced they're closing shop. I'll drop a link to the full statement in the description below. They say, "Today we announced the closure of Fantastic Studio. Unfortunately, the day before has failed financially, and we lack the funds to continue. All income received is being used to pay debts to our partners." For reference here, the day before was released on Steam in early access form on December 7th, so not too long ago. And it's got an overwhelmingly negative review score. It was not well received. It's got over 20,000 reviews. The game is no longer available for purchase, and looking through the reviews here, I don't know how many of them are actually real and how many people are trolling. I mean, taking a look at some of the positive reviews here, and this person says, "For every like this review gets, I will consume 1 spoonful of mayonnaise." And the other person says, "The refund button works better than this game does." As for sales, it appears the day before sold over 200,000 copies and refunded almost 100,000, so an almost 50% refund rate. Next up here, we're talking about Sony, and rumors are circling that Sony exclusivity is going to get a lot worse. I'll drop a link to this article in the description below, but apparently here Final Fantasy 16 and other Square Enix titles may never make it to Xbox. In my opinion, this stance is a little bit hypocritical from Sony, given the fact that they put up such a fight against Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. But here we are. Maybe it's a retaliation thing. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up, I've got another quick one for you. If you're a fan of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and the Lost Woods and re-imaging it in Unreal Engine 5, well, I've got an interesting video for you. I'll drop a link to it in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. There may be some very interesting links in there. Unfortunately, I've got no idea how long this is going to remain active for, but at the same time here, this is absolutely gorgeous. And last up here, we're quickly talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation with Mikage, the unreleased Mikage. And more people as time goes on are saying Mikage is fake. I don't believe that. I do believe it's real. And Mikage today says, "Homebrew developers, we're looking for testers for a new package manager for 3DS apps and libraries." So if you are interested in Mikage, it appears they are making some progress and they're bringing in homebrew developers. My advice here is just to be patient. There's no rush for Mikage, and we'll see it whenever it's ready. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.